Debo Dojo.
Listeners today, can you tell them what Rechat is? And then we'll get into the weeds of
Sure.
what you're doing.
So as far as Rechat goes, we're an app and focuses residential real estate. So it's an experience management platform, and essentially, we focus on giving one solution, so you can do all your work as an agent out of one tab or out of one app. And this is managing your buyers and seller throughout their entire experience, and that's why it's an experience management platform. What we didn't want to do is to build another CRM, build another email templating tool, and a whole bunch of different products that agents use today, which is available to them. There's a lot of products available to them, right? So I think our focus was on that the experience today is fragmented, right? It's broken up into, the most recent survey study was 18 products that's used by agents on average to get their work done and provided by brokerages, right? So by T360 report came out with that. So anyways, a lot of products, a lot of logins, a lot of the issues that we know, and that's why historically the rate of adoption is super low in the industry, right? Lower than 20%. Majority of the products are desktop based. So the experience is fragmented. It's fragmented for the agents, it's fragmented for the buyers, for the sellers. Our focus is making that more streamlined, bringing it together, taking out the redundancy. Everything's mobile first, like, iPhone, Android, tablet, which is important. Agents got to be on the go. And so that's kind of the gist of it.
And it's very impressive. And I would say that thanks to you, the industry's getting less fragmented.
Thank you.
Or at least with the services. And
that's nice. Thanks.
You saying it out loud makes me immediately think like, oh, from a strategy perspective, there's various other services that you could probably disrupt soon in the real estate space. I'd love to talk about that with you in a bit. But talk to me about Lucy, because is that integration available yet because I'm a Rechat customer.
Yeah.
And I haven't delved in to use it, of course. I typically use desktop for posting on social media for the brokerage and things like that. But Lucy's the AI system that you built, right?
It is. So right now, when you use Rechat, for instance, you use Agent Network, right?
Yeah.
So Agent
Great
Network, love that tool.
So
I have some of my favorites, and that's one of them because it helps you really target, so you're not spamming. It helps you essentially, just for the audience, when you have a listing, as an example, and you want to market the listing. So as an agent, you may have your own sphere, you may have your circle, excuse me, and that you can market to, which is important because a key part of your job is to brand and package up the listing and take it to market as you sell it. But in addition to that, 90% or so of the listings are sold to another buyer agent. So it's essential for you to be able to market that particular listing to the right buyer agents out there that have your seller, right? Historically, I'm not, anyway, so what this tool does is that it uses AI to figure out real time who's who in the market and be able to target them, and then you can send marketing to them, and it has a very high ROI, and it's quite engaging, and it's really cool. So we've had products like that and other solutions that use AI historically. But what we've been able to do just in the past year, because of generative AI and all the great things you hear out there, it's a lot more advanced. It's a lot more interesting. And Lucy is part of that. So Lucy is an AI assistant, essentially, that you're going to get. We do have early access, so you should definitely be part of that. And
I love that.
Yeah, so essentially what it does is, just to give it to you in a nutshell, so she does all the good stuff you get out of Chat GPT, right? So she's pretty much a trained model of Chat GPT.
Hey, Lucy, make me a listing description for this.
So she does that. Right?
That's pretty
exactly.
Cool. But agents are going to love that.
But she goes 10 steps further.
Okay.
And I can show it to you, actually. I have it on my phone. So you can get her to create high quality collaterals for entire marketing. She can create videos for you. She can create your website for your listing. she can create an entire comp presentation, which is breathtaking, real time with real time data, right? So things that saves hours of an agent's time, she can do. And now what's awesome is that she understands, and here's where things get interesting, because she understands who you are, right? She understands Zach is from Standard. And I know you're big on your branding, right? Like
Yeah.
you tie that down. So here's what he likes. Here's the colors they use. Here's the sort of things. So she understands all of that. So as she provides the content, brings it back and provide it to you, uh, it respects all of that, compliance, all of that, and then she can help you like share it with a client with 2 clicks or run a campaign. So it's really really cool. And there's all excuse me, there's a whole bunch of things she helps out with on the transaction side. So there's a lot of the tasks today that are redundant. There's a lot of tasks that just takes a lot of steps that are involved to do. And historically, agents that get very busy actually outsource those to an assistant, a real life assistant that comes in and kind of takes care of those stuff.
And
now
some
folks are really
they're going
good
to
at
have
that.
one in the palm
Every
of their hand.
agent's going to have an assistant with them that not only is available to them 24/7, not only has all sorts of different skills, they're good at social media, and she's also good at running. Like right now, for instance, we just did a partnership with Express Docs. It's a print company. It's a widely used. If you're from the industry, you probably know them. So now she can send print orders. It's just really
I'm
cool.
gonna start
sort
using
of
that.
things. That
is that
comes
available
into
yet in the software?
Express Docs
Yeah.
integration? Yeah.
Oh, I need to use that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
So anyway, so it's pretty. I think we are very excited, and we think it's very timely as some of the changes are happening. Obviously, a lot of the stuff that's happening in the industry right now with the settlement and everything else, and we think that these are material changes coming down, and they're going to change how consumers will be going through the journey and the transaction. And and we think some of these, and we think it's so timely with AI, because you can actually do a lot of these stuff slowly, and help with those on the software side.
So basically, you're taking a lot of the things that you guys are already doing. Let's say like, because for instance, in your software, I can type in, a house I've sold, 1836 Euclid Avenue, around the corner, and it will take a lot of my branding that I've pre-templated into your system, and all the photos that are in MLS, and it'll kind of pop it into an email, and then I can edit it from there. But you're combining that with the prompt-based AI, and now it can just boom, do it without me having to go into the graphical user interface and all that.
Yeah. So phase
nice.
1, precisely. So phase 1 has been about, we've been training ChatGPT, which is provided by OpenAI through their APIs, and you can purchase tokens, and it actually takes a pretty sophisticated infrastructure, so you can actually start training it with a lot of different data to start doing different things. One of the things you can get it to do is to learn, make tools available to it via APIs, and get it to do things, right? But you got to train them, because you probably heard, I've seen, they can come up with random things. They hallucinate, as they say. And,
I mean, I've been keeping track of all of the political drama too, between Elon's Grok and Google's chatbot and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. But yeah, so like, you don't want it to say, go make me a comp or make me a presentation, and it comes back with a video, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
how do you train it?
Great question. So
it's backed by ChatGPT, right? They give you like a tabula rasa AI system, and then they say, here's how you train it, or
yeah. So the models, so you get access to the model through the API, right? So you get access to ChatGPT 3.5 or 4, the model that you want to get access to. They have different pricing. 3.5 is a lot more
cheaper,
affordable now.
Yeah.
But 4 is more intuitive. Like when you go, if you have a paid version, your ChatGPT, when you go in, if you're using the 4 version, it gives you better answers. It understands better. It can communicate better, right? So it just because it's been trained on a lot more parameters, a lot more information, right? So this is just purely imagined like you have a kid, and you start training a kid, right? So the more they read, the more they watch, the more they experience, the more they learn, right? So these models are like that too. But the models they know everything about everything, and it's so just generic, right? In a sense, and they're predicting the next word, and there's a whole bunch of things of how they do this, right? But essentially, they don't have memory right? In a sense, like they don't know specific things. So that's where when you ask them for things, they can every time they can do something different, right? If so, the way you train them is
Okay.
that you take something specific that you want them to do. For instance, you want to say, hey, when I ask you for a comp or I ask you for a website, here's the steps I want you to take. Or when I give you a voice message and I want you to hypothetically take the voice message. Let's say it's the assistant part of it, right? So I give Lucy a voice message. She'll take my message. She'll convert it into text, and she'll understand, break it into steps. Then go on each step, take an action. Like if it says make me a website, then go use this part of our API, and with that go create a website. Then bring it back, use this part of the branding. So all those things that need to happen, and you do that today in the product. We do it through automation, we do it through knowing what's what, and also through you clicking on buttons and doing certain things in the product, right? As we've automated a lot of it, but there's also a lot of stuff that you can go out and you need to do to make that happen. She can make those decisions, she can do that, right? So anyway, so what you do is that you let's say it's like a 5-step process, for instance, of
Like,
different things to do,
Lucy, make me a website, right?
something
Start
like
there.
that, right? Yeah. So you make the web, like for instance, go check the website designs, pick my favorites, pick the branding, take the information from the MLS, put that into the website, generate the website, make it go live, all those steps, right? So there's like 10 steps, 15 steps involved to do that. And so now the point is you want her to go and do that every time, hit the note on the 15 steps and come back with the website. So how do you get her trained to do that? One, how do you get her to know what to do? And two, how do you get her to do that? That's the key question.
I feel like
you're
the
asking,
hardest
right?
part is the initial, right? The what to do is the hardest part. No,
Well,
because then tell me if I'm wrong. Basically, you say do this, and then your team of engineers is checking each step, and then they're like inserting feedback and correcting it, and then just doing it over and over again until it gets it right.
so there's two things to it. One is like you're asking her to do a bunch of things, right? Like go create a website, or go create a comp, or go write an email, or shorten this, or create a video, anything you're asking, right? So in order for her to do that, one is that she needs to have the abilities and access to tools to do that. So that's one, right? So if you go to ChatGPT and you say
Okay.
create a website, she's not going to make you a website because she doesn't have any tools to go create the website.
So then you need to connect like an API that allows her to go to a domain host.
So you need to
buy it.
have all sorts of technology, all sorts of different APIs and software built out to give her all those capabilities. That's one part of the conversation. So you can't just get up and get her to build all this stuff because she doesn't have any of those tools, and you don't have any tools. Like as so that's one part of it, is like providing her with the right set of tools. The second part is like, all right, so let's say I have everything, right? I'm Canva. I have a whole bunch of tools that you can create designs, right? How do I tell ChatGPT to go into Canva to do this and that? Or how do I tell him, ChatGPT, to do something specific over like a series of steps anyway? So what you do is training, and the way you do training is that you get her to do that over and over with tens of thousands of samples of going over and over, and the result comes back, and the results marked as, is it good or bad? If it's a good, it learns that, okay, this is the right answer. And when you do that way too many times, then it learns that, okay, so when we say this is what we want. We don't want this, right?
So from a feedback perspective, though, you're distilling it down to these steps, and then this step is good, this step is bad, this step is good, this step is bad. You have
I mean, if there's steps
where do you
involved,
have the inputs
exactly.
in the engineering process?
So this is a good question, right? So I think so whether it's steps or one step or 20 steps, I think obviously it's a lot more sophisticated if it's more complicated and there's more steps involved. But put the steps aside. I think that is a good question. The question is, how do you get it to have thousands of samples of usage, and how do you get to flag that good or bad for it to learn?
Because it's not sustainable for your engineers to
impossible, right? So I mean, you don't have a farm of people doing this manually, right? So part of it, some obviously there's one way is to do that, right? To have the actual human kind of, and you do that by user feedback. Like if you go to ChatGPT, they have thumbs up, thumbs down. That's precisely there to train the model. But you can also have people that actually, and we do have people on our QA team that do that. But the way you do it at scale is via technology.
Crowdsourcing.
No, it's technology. It's technology, and that's the whole thing. So you build this infrastructure that it's a training that trains the model, that feeds it with information, and the model does the thing. It brings the information back. It verifies the information. If the information was good or bad, it ranks it and sets it back. So it's,
So the model trains the model.
so you make a factory of it, right?
That's
So
crazy.
yeah. So and that's where
Ah.
you, yes, and that's where it's exactly at, where you have the infrastructure, and when you feed it, and you can do that at scale, and you can rank those feedbacks as they come, and then but to do this at scale, you will end up still wanting to get user feedback, and you still with those while they're using the product, or have a team that manually actually assesses certain things. But you definitely want to have it as a piece of software that's and the model itself. Yeah.
So when is Lucy? What's their launch date for that? I guess for everybody on Rechat.
I think so right now we're rolling it out on private kind of pre-access, and part of that is we're getting feedback. She does. I don't have a good answer, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly when
time.
we're gonna. Yeah, I don't know exactly when we're gonna be comfortable enough, because the thing is that it's not a one shot kind of one feature. She's not just writing listen description, right? That's the tricky part. So she does a whole bunch of different things, and so we're tracking these, and I can show you. It's actually pretty cool. You can see that on certain things our confidence level is very high, like meaning that like 98% of the time when she's asked to go create a comp, she creates a comp, and it's perfect, right? Like whatever, like it hits the notes, like she goes through the steps, and then so
you
we're
got a ton of
tracking
data points.
where
It's
this
already
is
there
going.
for that.
Yeah. So it takes time to train some of those stuff, and I think it's a matter of like where we draw the line and say, okay, this is a good enough, this is an interesting enough feature set, and I think we're very close to that, quite frankly. So
Is there something that she's getting, like you said, comps like 98, 99%? Is there something that she's doing 10% that's keeping you up at night right now
well, she does
that you can talk about?
No, she can do a lot of things at 10%. So any new,
Like I guess a specific challenge.
no,
that she's
anything you get. So
encountering.
yeah, so that's it. So I'll that's a good question, but it's not necessarily doing so anything new that she is asked to do that's completely new, she starts at 10% because she's never done
Yeah.
it before, right?
Yeah.
So it's a matter of training her on that. Anything that's, for instance, one of the things we've got her to do, which she's very good at, is she reads all the forms that you have as part of your transaction.
Oh, like the promulgated forms from the state for the contract.
All of that.
Okay.
So she learns those, and she can help and assist answer questions. And a lot of agents need, especially newer agents have, what does this mean, or what does this do, or what am I supposed to do, or it answers all those questions. It's something else that's really cool that you may like.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So something else that you may like that I love is that we have, and I don't know if, are you using Pages in Rechat right now?
No, and actually,
Have you heard of Pages?
I haven't. And if I may digress just a little bit before you go into that,
were we supposed to talk all about Rechat? I
yeah,
can talk about
this is
Rechat
about
forever,
you.
but okay.
Yeah, I want to hear about it
Okay,
too.
well, I'm just saying.
Cool, because I think it's an interesting intersection of what's going on in the world right now with AI,
Sure.
and especially as we tie it back into the NAR proposed settlement.
Mm-hmm.
But something that I've been deliberating over that we haven't done yet, you were talking about fragmentation, is all of our agents still use .loop for transaction software.
Sure.
And my business partner, Logan, who you know, and I have brought it up before, and instant reaction is, no, we love it.
Oh, that interesting. They like it.
They like it.
It's a good product. I mean, .loop is not bad.
So I would love to talk with you later about a way to maybe try it on, see if we can get some agents to, test it out and see if it's something that we can integrate.
Yeah. So I think, I think for something like a transaction management, right? Now we're like, I think going side off topic here, but it's a good conversation. I mean, for a transaction management, for the most part, the core of the functionality is now what you would think of as a commodity, meaning that companies like .loop, like Rechat, like SkySlope got it tied down for the most part, right? And they're pretty solid experiences, right? And that's not true for every other part of the products and functionalities that you need, right? But and there are many folks that and brokers that I've seen that are not happy necessarily with some of those products, but
I
But
think it's a training thing too. Like
bef-
agents are like, I don't want to relearn something else.
yeah, so I think that's true. And I don't want to relearn anything else. Like
Mhm.
people just like, that makes sense. You're busy. You don't want this and that. And when something works, you don't want to break it. So I think all of that makes sense. And I think it's a decent product. I mean, it's got a bunch of good stuff in it. So I think all of that works. I think the reason that your agents would potentially end up using Rechat and potentially come back and say, nice, like, damn, like we should have done this earlier, is not necessarily because Rechat is going to crush Loop on the transaction management side. I don't think it's going to fall behind from Loop. I think it's going to check all those boxes for them. But then it's going to make the experience a lot more special for them because everything else is right
Is
there.
there.
And when they're
Yeah.
doing their deal, their marketing pops up right in the middle of the experience. And right from there, everything else they're doing is connected to their people center. So their people are right there. So when they see that full circle, that's when they're going to be like, that's the
Well,
value added.
That's why,
Which is hard to see, by the way, before you actually use it, right?
Yeah.
So I do think as a side point, it's good to get a few of them to just try it out and then slowly make it like trend. But I do understand
we
why.
should talk about that
Yeah.
later.
Anyways, yeah.
That's why as a broker though, I want to adopt it. But we've had some kickback and I've been hesitant on pushing for it.
Yeah.